Now the time has come for Her Majesty to read the speech from the throne. The Queen's private secretary will hand the speech to Her Majesty, who will read first in English.
Honourable members of the Senate, members of the House of Commons, I greet you as your Queen. Together, we constitute the Parliament of Canada. For the first time, the representatives of the people of Canada and their sovereign are here assembled on the occasion of the opening of Parliament. This is for all of us a moment to remember. Parliamentary government has been fashioned by the wisdom of many centuries. Its justice, authority, and dignity are cherished by men of goodwill. It will be the high purpose of my ministers not only to preserve these qualities, but to take steps to make both houses of this Parliament more effective in the discharge of their responsibilities to the people of Canada. You have come here to form this new Parliament from across a great land, a land far wider than either of those older countries that first gave it birth. I am proud to contemplate the great heritage of this nation, the minerals, the forests, the lands, the waters, the sources of power and energy which fire your ever-growing industries. But I am more proud to contemplate the spirit and ideas which brought this country to nationhood, and now drawing reinforcement and enrichment from many lands and peoples, have given Canada a national character peculiarly her own. Yet in this age, no nation can live unto itself. Through the overcast of international affairs, the bright constellation of the Commonwealth illumines our times. The continuing admission of nations newly guided to self-government both broadens and strengthens our diverse Commonwealth, as more of us come to share the great inheritance of those institutions and ideals which make our association a quiet but pervasive force for good in an unquiet world. This was manifest when the Prime Ministers of the Commonwealth met in London last June to talk of great affairs, and again only a few days ago when on Canada's invitation the finance ministers met at Mont Tremblant and in a comradely spirit laid plans for a Commonwealth trade and economic conference to take place next year. A similar spirit has been evident in the Colombo Plan, which is a part of the high venture of the peoples of South and Southeast Asia as they move along the path of national development, and which my government will continue to support. My ministers believe that Canada's active participation in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is essential for the preservation of peace. You will accordingly be asked to maintain modern defense forces in being, which together with those of our allies will continue to act as a deterrent to attack upon any part of that alliance. While Canada plays a full part in these particular associations, my ministers remain convinced that in the wider forum of the United Nations, we must also continue to seek such agreements as will preserve security and bring about a wide measure of disarmament. Indeed, we must continue to hope that through the United Nations, the aspirations of men and women for peace and security will be fulfilled. In domestic affairs, my ministers look forward to meeting next month with the leaders of the provincial governments in order to discuss fiscal relations and to seek better understanding and arrangement of many aspects of our public finances. In the legislative program to be laid before you, it is fitting that mention should first be made of measures to improve the lot of the senior members of our society. Accordingly, you will be asked to increase old age security pensions and to shorten the period of residence required to qualify for them. Changes will be proposed in the terms of assistance offered to provincial governments to enable them to increase the payments to be made under the Old Age Assistance Act, the Blind Persons Act, and the Disabled Persons Act to a corresponding level. You will also be asked to increase the scale of war veterans' allowances and to enlarge the groups to whom they are paid. Changes will also be proposed in several sections of the Pension Act. In order to assure to the farmers of Canada a fair share of the national income, you will be asked to enact a measure to provide greater stability in the prices of their products. Every possible effort is now being made and will continue to be made to seek new markets for agricultural products as well as to regain those that have been lost. Due to inability to market their grain, prairie farmers have for some time been faced with a serious shortage of funds to meet their immediate needs. In order to permit them to receive an advance payment for the grain they can expect to deliver this year, you will be asked to authorize a system of cash advances for grain stored on farm. My government will strive to secure additional markets for the products of our fisheries and to promote the development of international rules to safeguard the living resources of the sea. My ministers believe that a national development policy carried out in cooperation with the provinces and in the territories is needed to enable all regions of Canada to share in the benefits to be realized in developing the resources of this great nation. It is their intention to propose to you from time to time programs and projects to implement this policy. As an immediate start upon a program of more extensive development in the Atlantic provinces, you will be asked to authorize, in joint action with the provincial governments, the creation of facilities for the production and transmission of cheaper electric power in these provinces. You will also be asked to provide assistance in financing the Beechwood project, which has been under construction in New Brunswick. My ministers will advance this national development policy further by initiating new discussions with the government of Saskatchewan in order to make possible the early commencement of construction of the dam on the South Saskatchewan River. My ministers are pressing for a favorable settlement of international problems in connection with the Columbia River to clear the way for a joint program with the province of British Columbia to develop the immense power in the waters of this river. My ministers will place before you a measure to ensure that those working in industries under federal jurisdiction will receive annual vacations with pay. You will be asked to approve bills relating to certain railway branch lines, amendments to the Canadian and British Insurance Companies Act, and insofar as the other business before you permits, to several other statutes. Members of the House of Commons, you will be asked to appropriate the sums required for carrying on the government of Canada during the remainder of the current fiscal year. Changes in certain of the taxing statutes will be submitted for your approval. Honourable members of the Senate, members of the Commons, I wish to express to you and to the people of Canada my gratitude and that of my husband for the warmth of the loyalty and affection with which we have been welcomed here in Canada. As I now address you here for the first time, I will call to your minds the words of the earlier Elizabeth, when more than 3 centuries ago she spoke from her heart to the Speaker and members of her last Parliament and said, Though God hath raised me high, yet this I count the glory of my crown, that I have reigned with your loves. Now here in the new world, I say to you that it is my wish that in the years before me, I may so reign in Canada and be so remembered. On this happy day, when we give thanks to God for all that he has bestowed on us, I ask that he may bless and guide you.